on these cats. The Last Stand is the name of the show. It's Sundays at 8 p.m. And if you haven't heard it, you got to hear it because you'll continually go back and back and back. I finally set an alarm. I got tired making excuses why I didn't get there. So I set an alarm. I'm not missing it anymore. It's a great show. They've always got a full chat room. There's usually 30 to 45 people in the chat room. They've got good guests. They had somebody on from The Blaze last week. They had, or 2 weeks ago, last week, they had somebody on from The Q from over at FTR Radio. So great show. Make sure you put it on your list and tune in on a regular basis. You'll be glad you did. Next up is my friend Dale. We're trying to get Dale to do a radio show over on Red Nation Radio, Dale. And right now he's without a show, so he's just stuck with being my friend. Thanks, Dale. I always appreciate you tuning up. That's Quincy Smith on Twitter. Okay, let's get into the news. Oh, boy, we got this little Cuba thing today. If it's not bad enough that this son of a brick in the White House is kowtowing to the Muslims everywhere, kissing their butt. What did he say in that Cairo speech? He says, I'll outstretch my hand instead of giving them the clenched fist. And they'll like us. They'll be our friends. Well, that didn't work out so well. They're still bombing and killing us. They're beheading more people than they ever did under any other regime. And so now he's gone, let's go get Cuba. Maybe that is a country that I can affect a foreign policy change in. So for the last 50 years, the United States has had an embargo. We sell them most of their food, but we can't travel there on vacation. We can't buy their cigars. Money can't be sent back and forth between the two countries, or if it can, it's with severe limitations. And it's all because they're communists. Their human rights violations are abhorrent. They're horrible, horrible people. Not the citizens. The Cubanos are wonderful people, but the people in the government are stifling. They throw people in prison. You don't have a freedom of speech or to write a newspaper. I'd be locked up for having a radio station. It's horrible. So we've had this embargo in place with Fidel Castro, and it stayed in place when Raul Castro, his almost equally scumbaggery brother, took over. Now, Obama thinks if we just open our arms and reach out and embrace them. So what he did is like the Bergdahl thing. We release one scumbag, or we want to get one scumbag traitor out of the Muslims' hands. So we get one scumbag traitor and we give up 5 Taliban generals. 5 Taliban generals, Al-Qaeda generals, actually. And this was pretty much the same thing. We got a human aid worker that was in prison. He was in prison in Cuba for the last 5 years. We released terrorists. We released 2, or I think it was 3 Cuban spies / terrorists that were responsible for a plane crash and the death of an American. We're giving up evil, evil people, and we're getting just an innocent guy that was in jail. And nothing is to gain. Nothing is being gained by us. We get nothing out of this. They're not going to start letting the Cuban people have freedom of speech. They're not going to start letting them have businesses. Nothing changes. It's Obama's negotiating. Here, take whatever you want. And just give me this one little tiny thing that's almost nothing. He used this prisoner as an excuse to free some bad guys, to turn bad guys that hate America free, and to try to change 50 years of policy that every Cuban in the world wants to see in place. Marco Rubio, senator from Cuba, he doesn't want to see this relationship change. Not until Cuba gets in line, starts becoming more democratic. That's what this embargo was about, and that's why it needs to stay in place. Obama doesn't care. He knows he's going to lose all control over making things happen come January 22nd. And if the Republicans and the Senate, and there's a lot of Democrats standing up saying this is wrong. I mean, it is really, really wrong. You don't fold 50 years of foreign policy just because one piece of crap president thinks it would be a fun thing to try. Oh, okay, up next. Pennsylvania. We had one of these last week. Now it's Pennsylvania. The last one, I believe, was in New Hampshire. No, it was in New Jersey. There's a organization that wants to build a mosque in Ben Salem. They want to build a mega mosque. And the town says, no, it's not going to happen here. Nope, you can't do it over there. Nope, there's not enough parking. Nope, you don't have this. Several redesigns of the mosque, several months. In fact, it may have been a year or more. And they're still not getting approved for the mosque. One of the community members spoke up to make it a little more clear because they were running out of excuses. So one of them actually spoke what the problem really was. He says mosques have patterns, and the pattern of mosques has been that when the congregants outgrow the mosque, they spill out into the streets. And when they do that, they block. They pull up blockades, and they pull out their rugs. They put them down on the street, and they do their prayers out on the street. I have a video of this, he says, if you'd like to see it, to back it up. In several cities around the world, what they do is they put up barricades, and they lay their carpets down in the street, and they pray. For a good 45 minutes, it draws a lot of people, and it creates problems for the businesses on the street because they cannot do commerce, because nobody can get into their stores. So the Muzzies do what they always do. They go to CARE, the Council on Arab-Islamic Relations. This is the organization I tell you about every week on Fridays. The United Arab Emirates just declared it a Muslim Brotherhood terrorist front group. Egypt has declared it a Muslim Brotherhood terrorist front group. The United States had it declared as a Muslim Brotherhood terrorist front group until Obama took over. He canceled that designation, and he's embraced them as a social organization, as a community building organization. All they do is this. All they do is they sue. Last week it was in New Jersey. A town had an ordinance. No house of worship. It wasn't a Muslim thing. No house of worship can be built in the neighborhoods. They all have to be on the main thoroughfares. So these Muslims got hold of CARE. CARE got hold of Eric Holder and the Department of the Department of Jihad. And our tax dollars were being spent to sue this little town. And the little town that was just upholding all religions equally. No house of worship shall be built in the city, in the residents, in the neighborhoods. And because they have more money and they could sue this small town into bankruptcy, the small town gave up. They threw in the towel, even though they had done nothing different for them than they did for the Jews and the Methodists and the Lutherans and the Catholics. They were forced to pay $5 million plus another $2.75 million to buy another piece of land out on the highway somewhere. The Muslims are doing the same thing that the LGBT community does. They find a bakery that's a Christian bakery. They come in and they say, we want a wedding cake. Congratulations, Bill and Bob. The Christians say, no, we're not going to do that because it's our religious beliefs that Bill shouldn't be marrying Bob, and we're not going to participate. We wish you a happy wedding, but we're not going to participate in something that is contrary to our religious beliefs. And so the LGBT activists sue. And that's all they're doing. They're going out looking for Christian places. They probably pick up a Christian Yellow Pages, and they go through that looking for targets. And the Muslims are doing the same thing. Last Friday on Jihad on America, I talked about a 16-year-old Muslim girl that went to interview for a job at Abercrombie and Fitch. Now, this is a hip, young clothing outfit. And their sales clerks aren't even called sales clerks. They're called models. They are to dress in the style of the clothes they sell. You can't just wear Levi's and a T-shirt. You've got to dress hip. This girl comes in wearing a Muslim hijab over her head. And when she didn't get the job, she goes to her local mosque, and they reach out to CARE, and they sue. This girl won $20,000 for not getting a job that she knew she wasn't going to get. Now, the job would have probably paid her $15,000. But now she only had to interview, and now she's free to go do the same thing again and again and again. She'd probably make $100,000 just suing people for not hiring her when she knew they wouldn't hire her when she went to get the job. What she needs to get the job for is cleaning the floors in a mosque. They'll hire you that way. People, we've got to start waking up. We've got to start telling people what's going on. They are forcing us to be tolerant of their ways, and that's both the Muslims and the LGBT activists. They're forcing us to be tolerant of them, but they won't be tolerant of us. It's my store. I'll hire who I want. And the uniform will be whatever I want it to be. If it's a French maid's outfit, so be it. If you don't like it, quit or don't take the job. But you don't come to America, the land of the free, the land of opportunity, and try to force us to bend to your ways. It doesn't work that way. Or at least it shouldn't. Unfortunately, too many people go along to get along, and they do. There's an article posted up on Al Qaeda this week. A young Christian man got on the phone and called 13 prominent bakers. These are gay bakers. He must have gotten the gay Yellow Pages. And yes, there is one. He went through the list and asked 13 bakers to bake a cake celebrating traditional marriage. He said it's going to be for a conference we're going to have, and I want the cake to say, gay marriage is bad. A marriage is a man and a woman. 13 out of 13 gay bakers said no, they won't do it. Now, I don't fault them. The guy doing the video did. He said that isn't right. You guys always want for equality. Well, no, it's not the gay community that's upset that a Christian baker won't bake a gay cake. It's these LGBT activists. And he's calling bakers. These gay bakers have a right to say no. It's their business. The difference is that he's a Christian. He's not going to turn around and sue these bakers and put them out of business because they won't bake him a pro-traditional marriage cake. But it's interesting that 13 out of 13 of the gay bakers refuse to do the same thing that the Christian bakers refuse to do. It's your business. You have a right to do what you want in your business. You can't refuse to serve people based on race, based on ethnicity, based on their sex. You can't say, I won't serve women. You can't say, I won't serve black people. These are protected classes. Who you want to have sex with is not a protected class. It's your choice. You can sleep with who you want to sleep with. but I don't have to celebrate it by baking you a cake saying, "Congratulations, Bill and Bob." Oh.